I've been watching paranormal videos for as long as I can remember, and nothing will make me roll my eyes quite as hard as ghost hunting. Yes, that's right, I'm finally talking about it. So here's the mandatory disclaimer. I like ghost hunting, I'm not a believer, and I don't hate these people. I even watch some of them semi-regularly, but in this take, I am taking the conversation seriously. So remember, we listen and we judge here in my comments and not in theirs. So let's gather around in a non-ritualistic circle and talk about the inherently problematic nature of ghost hunting. So just like any other day, I was doing my nails while watching YouTube because it's the only streaming service I have. Don't ask me about my screen time, we both know it's bad. And I got a notification from my favorite YouTuber, John Wolf. Excellent timing, Mr. Wolf, sir. At this time, he had just started doing more commentary and debunking videos on his main channel, and I was having a fantastic time over there. It's some of my favorite content he's ever made. Skeptics and non-believers are what I believe to be an integral part of the paranormal community, and I'll also admit, I have a huge soft spot for believers themselves, even when I have to hold their hand and walk them through a hoax multiple times. I consider it a labor of love at this point, and at the end of the day, I'm very happy to do it. It's actually pretty hard to find a debunking video that doesn't belittle or degrade believers, which is why I like CEO Mr. Wolf. He cares about these people in particular and showed me a different perspective and viewpoint on how I want to consume entertainment and media. Side note to this, I actually hate the non-believer dynamic. Sorry, I said that wrong. I hate the believer and non-believer dynamic that The Watcher popularized, because I like ghost hunting, but I don't believe. So when I watch the show and there is a fellow non-believer, I can feel their cringe and ridiculousness of seeing grown people shouting and scaring themselves in the dark, and it completely takes me out of the experience. Like, secondhand embarrassment dialed up to 11. Personally, I don't believe most believers need a skeptic to tether them to reality. In fact, some of the best debunkers I know are believers. Now, I may not be a believer, but I don't go out of my way to debunk things on the internet because much of the time, it's very easy and not fun to do. I just watch it for entertainment. All of this is fake to me, so I take it as a fun ARG. But that's not to say I won't believe you if you say you had an experience. My love for the paranormal community started with paranormal story times. I love, and I still do, I love hearing people speak on personal experiences, and I love when they share themselves with the platform of their choosing. I may not believe that it's actually their deceased grandparent visiting to check in, but I believe something happened. And to begin with, I would never begin to think of debunking someone else's experience that brought them comfort. I essentially believe in their belief of the paranormal, and that's good enough for me. And that's also pretty much the point of this video and what Mr. Wolf, CEO of Wolf Enterprise, said in his video. I'm paraphrasing, of course, I am not quoting him directly. He addressed the weirdly aggressive pushback he's getting on his debunking videos. There's a mixed bag of believers saying, no proof will ever be enough for him, and non-believers saying, it's a waste of time to debunk things because it's clearly fake and only for entertainment. And Mr. Wolf brings up a great point, which is that even if you don't believe, many people really, really do. Specifically young, impressionable, and vulnerable people. And they don't just believe that ghosts exist, but that their faves, souls, are in mortal peril, and they are terrified by what they're watching. And their fascination and fear is being exploited for a YouTube check. And that sounds kind of harsh, but ghost hunters don't exist in a vacuum. What are ghosts? Dead people. To be a people first, you have to be alive. And the general consensus seems to be that tragedy and trauma are the two biggest causes of hauntings. The circumstances behind their passing were too cruel or abrupt, and their soul can't rest, unfinished business type deal, which sounds to me like a perpetual panic attack, which high-key sucks. I believe that with how polarizing, popular, and entertaining ghost hunts can be, we forget the human aspect of it all, especially for creators who have been doing this for a long time. Just like any job, you can get bored, and that makes you feel the need to escalate or change things in the workplace. And for ghost hunters, that means 9 times out of 10, more extreme investigation tactics for shock value, regardless of who it could affect. But first, our first Beebus Yoink hashtag goes to this incredibly talented artist. The skin, the shading, the vibes, the color palette, truly immaculate. I love when people are cooler than me. Thank you so much for blessing our eyes today. If you want to see your nails in a video, post on my community tab with hashtag Beebus Yoink so I know it's okay to share. In order to do that, you do have to be subscribed and go to my community tab, not my posts. When you start to type a comment, there is an option to select images in the bottom left-hand side, and that's how you can share your art with me, and I can show you off to other people. Now, back to my TED Talk. Sam and Colby did an investigation of Doll Island in New Mexico. The legend is that Barrera, a man who lived on the island, either came across or failed to save a little girl from drowning in the canal and found what he thought to be her doll shortly after. He hung the doll in a tree to ward off evil and honor her memory, but there is no record of this girl or event having ever existed or taking place. In 2001, Barrera did say that he heard a mermaid singing to him, and he ended up drowning supposedly in the same spot as the girl at the age of 80. So when Sam and Colby visit, they bring the little girl an offering, a small doll, and attaches it to the side of the swing to help keep the tradition alive. No, I'm just joking. They drown it because that's a not psychotic and totally inappropriate thing to do for a child who died by drowning. There are 3 dolls, 1 cup video with Peggy, Annabelle, and my mortal enemy, Robert the 17th century tampon. If Robert doesn't have any haters, I am dead. Colby had a segment where he said Robert may have given him his testicular cancer, so he wanted to apologize just in case. Paranoia. I get this one, not personally, but the just in case aspect, I hear this a lot, especially with skeptics and believers. But at the end of the day, Colby got down on his knees and read out a heartfelt letter to apologize to Robert, then proceeded to show Robert on camera. It's the uranium argument all over again. I mentioned this in my Kuromi junk nails videos, but I'm going to bring it up again because I love to beat a dead horse. I know if I handed uranium to you raw, or really in any form, it would kill you. And even if you didn't believe and wanted to try it for yourself, I still would not give it to you. So either they don't believe Robert has any power, they're irresponsible, or they're lying about believing. And all options kind of suck because their audience is filled with a heck ton of kids who do believe and are scared. Twin Paranormal did a video in an infamous murder house in Belle Plaine, Iowa, where in 2016, a woman named Vicky was attacked with a sword by a man that shouldn't be remembered in any capacity. She did survive, but then was unfortunately strangled to death weeks later by a different person. A sword was left in the home as a trigger object to contact the victim, which feels so weird and gross to me. They also went around with a spray and light to gawk at the bloodstains, which is something I really hate and find gross. But nothing is as gross as taking a real-life tragedy and saying these murderers are possessed and didn't want to do it, but a demon forced them, when you have absolutely zero grounds or authority to be doing that. Which, you know what, what was it, The Devil Made Me Do It movie based on the true case of Ed and Lorraine Warren really tainted an era of investigations and real life tragedy, which is already horrible on its own, but to compound that and then make it worse by creating a defense for someone who regardless, they did the crime. Regardless of whether or not they were possessed, blah, blah, blah. You have no business saying it was the devil. The devil made you do it. Shut up. Oh no. I think I cared about that one a bit more than I thought I did whenever I was writing this. It makes me mad. Anyways, whatever. If you believe in ghosts and truly believed that this woman was still here without a body, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Would you talk to an alive person that way? Flaunt a sword in front of their face and ask if they recognize the weapon that nearly killed them and sent them to a hospital? What are you, a lawyer? I guess that's basically a demon. I feel... Sometimes when I talk about this, I hear that Kardashian meme of, was it Chloe? I don't know who it was. But she goes like, Kim, there's people that are dying. I have to take a breath. I'm actually going to detour for a second and talk about an infamous incident on the island of Honshu in Yamanashi Prefecture of Japan. In 2018, Logan Paul, I know, I'm tired too. He visited the Sea of Trees, or Aokigahara, known in English as the Suicide Forest. And him and his group of people, they filmed a man who had hung himself. I have no comment on his reaction to the body, pardon me. I know that was a huge point of contention whenever the video released. I refuse to psychoanalyze that as someone who saw a body in real life that wasn't at a funeral viewing. How people process that isn't mine to judge. I care about them filming him head on. Actually, I care that they filmed him at all, and that he sent footage off to be edited of it, and that his team okayed it to post. That's genuinely insane to me. Now that I edit my own content, I know what it takes going into it. Choosing the best clips, the best angle, adjusting the lighting, blurring out things I don't want you to see. It feels extra insidious when people post horrible things like that, because at that point, someone else said, yeah, this is okay. This is acceptable. And you know what? You know what I thought about it, so I'm gonna mention it. I hate rage baiters. You are disgusting people. I don't ever want to talk to you. Get out of my face. I'm not easily rage baited because I refuse to engage in content, but I won't say that it doesn't work on me. It will get me for like a split second, and then I go to your page, block you, and I never think about you again. That was kind of intense. My bad, that was kind of intense. Anyways, back then, we absolutely came together, I feel, not just as a society, but as a world, and knocked sense into him and his friends. Also, if you're wondering where the phrase, I've made a severe and continuous lapse of judgment came from, it was him. Whoa, I don't know why he gave him an accent. I think it's because of Bill Clinton's, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. But that was... Back to the topic. We need to bring that level of shaming back. YouTube ghost hunters as a breed are too excited about the possibility of finding a body or being close to human remains to a point that is disrespectful and concerning, and I don't like it. There's many more examples of that, but I think I've made enough of a point. I genuinely mean it when I say that I could talk for hours about my journey with religion, spirituality, the paranormal, and then the internet and ghost hunting. Like, I could take you through a journey of a lifetime, and of my lifetime, not of your lifetime. I'm not that big of a staple in your life, I bet. But there's many more examples of that, but I think I've made my point for here and now. Ghost hunting is a field that directly monetizes and profits from death and tragedy and turns it into entertainment. It's not the only field, but it is the one that I am involved with directly the most. People have to die in order for ghosts to exist, but they leave friends and family behind. And those people who get left behind don't get to consent to their stories being told, and instead are unwillingly dragged into the public eye, and their still open wounds are prodded for our entertainment. These ghost hunts impact the living. They don't happen in a vacuum chamber. The more anonymous it seems a haunting is, the more socially acceptable it feels. Or, at the opposite end, the more infamous and mainstream, the less taboo it feels. Like the Lizzie Borden house is a bed and breakfast anyone can stay at, which is still weird, but preserve history, I guess. I'm trying to say that there is layers and nuance to this. There is no one specific way to investigate, but YouTube ghost hunters do it the worst, and that really sucks because it can also be a really fun and exciting space. But in an attempt to do the next big thing, it's becoming really bad. As the world becomes more uncertain and dangerous, people will flock to the occult and religion for comfort, answers, and community. Beware of people who claim they have all the answers. They don't, and they're probably selling snake oil. And that's it. That's the video. Like and subscribe if you're into that sort of thing, and we listen and we judge here. Have a good day or night, wherever you are, whenever you are, and I will see you in the next one.